The largest recorded outbreak of bird flu is wreaking havoc worldwide. The spread has been largely limited to birds in the last 2 years, but a new strain of H5N1 has recently started taking down mammals. And with the COVID-19 pandemic still front and centre, this viral outbreak, well, it's raising fears of another zoonotic disease jumping to humans from animals. CNA's Otelli Edwards looks at the risks.
Last October, a mink farm in Spain provided the strongest evidence yet that a killer bird flu gripping the globe can now spread between mammals. Analysis showed the animals were infected by a different form of H5N1, which includes genetic material from a gull strain. Workers culled nearly 52,000 mink. For more than a year, H5N1 has been on a cross-species spree, and it's showing an increasing ability to jump to mammals from birds. Foxes, bears, seals, and sea lions have all fallen prey, likely from eating sick birds. Now, this new strain is not causing much harm to humans yet. The World Health Organization has only recorded a small number of cases, about a half dozen. An 11-year-old girl in Cambodia died recently, not from the new bird flu subvariant, but from an older strain. Still, experts caution the threat remains very real. And for more, let's bring in Dr. Margaret Harris, World Health Organization spokesperson, to find out if humans are next and if we have enough ammo to tackle the pandemic threat. Well, thanks for joining us, Dr. Harris. Now, just before we get to the mink and the sea lions, can you just remind us how bad H5N1 is among birds all over the world right now, especially in Asia, and has transmission peaked?
So we've been watching H5N1 actually since 1996-97 when it emerged in Hong Kong. And then it re-emerged in Asia in 2003. So it's not exactly a new thing, but it is a highly pathogenic virus in birds. And when it does spill over into humans, we get the sporadic cases in humans. It is also highly lethal. So we are seeing surges around the world, not just in Asia, but in Europe and also in Latin America, South America. And we are concerned that the birds are a big problem, but also we're seeing more cases of infection in animals, in mammals, and we are really monitoring that very, very carefully.
And as you know, you've suggested that the virus is now spreading within mammals. What do you think has happened there? And if so, why is that a big problem?
So the virus, isolated from, say, the infected minks, has a mutation that might make it better able to spread in those mammal hosts. And this highlights again the importance of the surveillance to pick up these changes, quickly respond, and also do the genetic testing. That's why we're really watching what's going on. And as I mentioned, the sea lions recently in Peru, we saw hundreds of sea lions infected with H5N1 that were reported to have died. And so two things need to be going on. We need to be really studying these very, very, very intensively, studying each case, doing the genetics to understand where we are and what we can do to protect ourselves.
Dr. Harris, now an 11-year-old girl from Cambodia recently died from bird flu, but it was from an older strain, I have to emphasize that, and not a human-to-human transmission. So what do we know about this virus, what it does to people if it does get into people?
When it does get into humans, it causes a very severe illness. And sadly, we've seen actually a 50% lethality overall. Since it first emerged, we have seen more than 900 cases in humans. And of those, half of those people have died. So it is something that, if it gets into humans, can cause a very severe illness. And the critical thing right now is to be doing that surveillance, to be really taking care, doing all the things, making sure that we separate we don't do the intensive farming that pushes all the different species together, doing all the work with what we call One Health, which is, again, looking at the animal health, human health, where the interface is, and protecting humans, of course, from the jump over to animals, but also protecting animals.
Now, Dr. Harris, some experts, they are saying it's 5 mutations or so away from the original H5N1 virus before it possibly jumps into humans. Is that an accurate picture, and how worried should we be?
So these are all, again, theoretical. We don't know until it happens exactly. COVID has taught us that what we predicted about COVID at the beginning was we were always tricked For every step, we were always tricked. So what we have to work with is what we know now. And what we know now is we have to keep it from jumping over into humans. We have to really do much more work on that. We also have to start looking at what kind of vaccinations we could use to protect humans. So we've just had a meeting where we've identified the various candidate viruses so that we could go into vaccination production very, very quickly. So we have to do several things. We have to do the science to understand what's going on, but also do the preparedness.
So in the event that the human transmissibility happens, how fast can we swing a vaccine? And I suppose COVID has helped us prep for something like this in a way.
Indeed. The world showed that it can come together and can produce these things very quickly. Now, we have to get better at distributing them fairly. We failed very badly on that during COVID. But there are treatments available for avian flu. We've got a stockpile. In fact, we sent some to Cambodia after the recent cases, and we will continue to stockpile. And we're also working to see how on the vaccines to ensure that we will be able to produce very quickly. But the critical thing and the real lesson from COVID-19 is if this happens, we must work together transparently and ensure that we distribute fairly to those most in need, not those who've got the most power to get it.
Thank you very much for your time and thoughts, Dr. Margaret Harris, World Health Organization's spokesperson.